Heartbreak unbelievable. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson had to put up with this for 10 years. 2015, the flashbulbs were flashing at the London premiere of 50 Shades of Grey. The cheers, the press, the cameras were rolling like a wave. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson walked the red carpet together, bright smiles, knowing glances, hands brushing. The whole world saw it, but no one saw behind the lights, two people trembling with a secret known only to them. When the cameras turned off, when the audience left the theater, and when the praise and criticisms rolled in like a storm, they were left in a strange silence. "Do you think we've gone too far?" Dakota asked, late one night, in a hotel room in Vancouver. Her voice was hoarse and tired. Jamie looked at her. "It's not us. It's the movie." "But the movie doesn't know this feeling, the thing that sticks with you when you leave the set." "Neither do I," he admitted. "They didn't name it. They didn't call it love, they didn't call it infatuation. They just knew that every time the director shouted, 'Cut,' they would stand still, their hearts skipping a beat. And for the next 10 years, they would pay the price for that moment." After the success of the film, the two became global icons. Magazines called them the hottest on-screen couple of the decade. But the more famous they became, the more trapped they were in that role. Dakota tried to step out of Anastasia Steele's shadow. She took on other roles, strange, strong, full of personality. But every time a film premiered, the familiar question would appear: "Are you still in touch with Jamie? Is he your true love?" She smiled, answering like a machine, "We're good friends." But at night, when the lights went out, she heard his voice calling her name in a scene in her head, so real it was creepy. Jamie was no better. He got married, had children, and had a stable life. But Hollywood didn't leave him alone. Every role, every interview was associated with the name Dakota Johnson. Once, on a talk show, the host jokingly asked, "Do you think your wife gets jealous when she sees you and Dakota being close?" Jamie smiled. But that smile trembled slightly. "I just hope people remember it's just an act." When the show ended, he was silent in the dressing room. "It's just an act," he repeated to himself. But he knew, in the past 10 years, not a single day had passed that he truly believed it. The curse of the spotlight. As time passed, they rarely met. But Hollywood was so small that it was unavoidable. In 2021, at the BAFTA Awards ceremony, they accidentally met backstage. No one knew what they said, only for a moment. Dakota's eyes were glistening with tears, and Jamie turned away, holding hands. "Don't you think we're still stuck?" she asked. "Stuck in someone else's memory," he replied. 10 years, Dakota. "I know. But maybe, that's the price we pay for making the world believe in a love that even we don't know is real or fake." Dakota went home, turned on her phone, and hundreds of articles popped up. Jamie and Dakota, still on fire. Awkward moment backstage at BAFTA. They avoided each other, but their eyes said otherwise. She threw her phone on the sofa. 10 years later, they still couldn't escape that role. She thought about what Jamie had said: "We haven't been ourselves since we made that movie." Maybe it was true, because every time they tried to love someone else, there was a part of their hearts they couldn't reach, the part that had been locked in the lights of a movie set 10 years ago. The letter never sent. April 2024. Dakota is in New York. Outside, the rain is falling. She sits in her small apartment, opens her laptop, writes a letter, but there is no address. "Jamie, have you ever thought that we never really leave that role? That even though we change scripts 100 times, we are just reliving the same story, just with different settings, different people standing next to us?" I used to think that time would erase everything. But every time I see you in a new movie, I realize, some things never fade, only change form. For the past 10 years, we have endured the world's confusion, but perhaps the most painful thing is, we have begun to confuse ourselves. She paused, tears falling onto the keyboard. That letter, she would never send. But it remained in a small folder, called Unsent for J. D. Meanwhile, across the ocean, Jamie couldn't sleep either. He sat in his office, looking at an old photo, a behind-the-scenes photo of 50 Shades, where he and Dakota were smiling brightly. He picked up a pen and wrote in his diary, "She was a part of my memory, and memories never die." We can forget lines, forget scenes, but we can't forget the eyes that made us believe what we were pretending. He gently closed the notebook. Amelia walked in, gently placing her hand on his shoulder. "Do you still think about her?" Jamie was startled. "No. I just miss the time when I was young." She smiled sadly. "You don't have to lie. I know. I always know." Escape. August 2025. The news spread. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson were to reunite in a European independent film. The world held its breath. The newspapers read, "After 10 years of silence, they stand together again." The first day on set, they met again. No cameras, no audience, just the two of them, two souls once bound by the same memory. Dakota stepped forward, smiling softly. "You're still the same, but I'm different. Stronger, more beautiful, and farther. Far, far from the obsession." She nodded slightly. "I think we're finally free." "No. We're not free. We're just learning to live with it." The first shot, the two characters parting ways after 10 years of not seeing each other. The director shouted, "Action." Dakota stepped forward, her eyes meeting Jamie's. Her lips trembled, but the line was unscripted. "Will you ever forget?" Jamie replied softly, "No. But I've learned to forgive myself." The camera stopped. The crew was silent. The director whispered, "Keep that feeling." "I don't need to act, I need the truth." They looked at each other, smiled. A smile of relief after 10 years of being trapped. When the film ended, they parted in silence. No hugs, no promises. Just two people who had gone through the same storm. Dakota wrote in her diary, 10 years of suffering, not because of the hurt, but because she never dared to face it. Now it's enough. The light is still bright, but I've learned to walk in it without losing myself. Jamie read that line in a later interview. He smiled. On his desk, he placed a small photo, the two of them backstage, smiling in the light. Under the photo, he wrote a line, "Thank you for enduring with me. And for teaching me how to let go." 10 years, a decade of misunderstandings, of silence, of unnamed pain, but it was also 10 years for them to realize. Not every relationship needs to end in love. There are people born to learn to endure together, then grow up together. And sometimes, that is a different kind of love, silent, deep, and so real that no one needs to believe it.